events happened back in February of this year. I live in a small town called Sandy, Oregon, about 40 minutes east of Portland, right along the base of Mount Hood. It's quiet here, surrounded by forest, the kind of town where everyone sort of minds their own business and nothing really happens. That night, I'd gotten off work early. It was cold, cloudy, and the air smelled like snow was coming. Around 7 p.m., I got a call from my buddy Ryan, who works over in Gresham. His car had died near the old gas station off Highway 26, and he needed a lift. I didn't think twice, told him I'd come grab him, and maybe grab a burger on the way back. I threw on my jacket, grabbed my keys, and headed for the door. But as soon as I opened it, I froze. There was a man standing on my porch. He was right there, maybe a foot away from me. He had a heavy brown parka, a black beanie, and a scarf covering most of his face. The porch light hit his eyes. They didn't blink, didn't react, didn't even flinch, that I'd just swung the door open right into his space. I kind of half laughed, just out of nerves. Hey, can I help you?" He hesitated, then mumbled, "Sorry, I was about to knock." His voice was muffled, but calm. "All right," I said. "What's up?" He tilted his head a little, like he was trying to read me. "Are you, Jason? Jason Miller?" "No, I think you've got the wrong house." He nodded slowly. "Okay." Then he turned and walked down the porch steps. I stood there, watching him walk all the way down my long gravel driveway and out toward the road. He didn't look back once. It was weird. People don't just show up unannounced out here. Houses are spaced apart, surrounded by tall Douglas. The roads were quiet, just a thin layer of frost forming on the pavement. When I got to Gresham, Ryan was waiting in the lit parking lot of a Chevron station. We stopped by a Burgerville on Division Street for food. Then I dropped him off at his apartment. By the time I made it home, it was almost 9. The snow had started to fall, light and steady. I parked in the driveway, walked up to the house, and stepped inside. Everything looked just as I left it. Porch light still on. Door locked. I cranked up the heat, kicked my boots off, and settled on the couch to watch some late-night TV. I lost track of time. Maybe 2 hours passed before I realized how tired I was. I got up, turned the TV off, and started heading for bed. As I passed the front door, that moment from earlier, the man on the porch, flickered in my mind. I hadn't thought about it since dinner, but now, for some reason, it made my stomach twist. I walked up to the door and peeked through the peephole. The porch was empty. The snow was still falling softly, and the world outside was completely still. But then, I noticed something. Footprints. A set of them leading up my driveway. They were deep and clean, meaning whoever made them came by after the snow started. The tracks went all the way up to my car, circled around it once, then disappeared into the tree line beside my house. I felt my throat tighten. Another thud. Louder. Sharper. Like someone hitting the door with a heavy object. I told the operator there was someone outside, that I could hear them trying to get in. She told me to find a place to hide or get out if I could do it safely. I glanced toward the back door. A shadow passed across the window and the handle rattled. Then, another violent slam, shaking the frame. That was it. I grabbed my car keys and bolted out the front door, sprinting toward my car in the snow. I expected to see someone, maybe more than one person, but the yard was empty. My breath was white in the cold air, my heart pounding so loud I could barely think. I jumped in the car, locked the doors, and drove straight toward town. When the police met me at my house 20 minutes later, they found the back door busted open, hinges cracked, lock split clean. Wet footprints trailed through my kitchen and into the hallway, but stopped halfway through the living room. And then, nothing. They searched the woods, the driveway, even the road, but no other prints led away from the property. Whoever it was, they were gone. The only thing I could tell them was about the man from earlier, but with no proof it was the same person, there wasn't much they could do. It was a typical Friday night in Naperville, Illinois. Cold, quiet, and uneventful. I live alone in a small single-story house on the west side of town, about an hour's drive from downtown Chicago, where I work. After a long week of commuting, I was ready to spend the whole night doing absolutely nothing. No plans, no responsibilities. Just me, my PlayStation, and a few beers. I got home around 7, took a quick shower, threw on an old hoodie, and fired up my console. For the next few hours, I gamed, watched YouTube, and enjoyed the rare feeling of not needing to be anywhere. Around 11, I started to get hungry. I didn't feel like cooking, so I grabbed my phone and ordered a large pepperoni from Rosati's Pizza, the local spot. I placed the order through their app, kicked my feet up on the couch, and let a YouTube video autoplay while I waited. After about 45 minutes, I realized I hadn't gotten any updates. No text saying the driver was on the way. Nothing. When I checked the app, it just said, "Your order has been delayed." It didn't seem like a big deal. It was late, after all, and I wasn't in a rush. At some point, I must have dozed off. The next thing I remember was the doorbell ringing, over and over. I shot up, disoriented, heart racing. Oh crap, the pizza. I stumbled to the door, still half asleep, head fuzzy from the beers. I yanked it open and blurted, "Sorry, man. Hope you didn't wait long. How much do I owe you?" The guy on my porch didn't answer right away. He wasn't holding any pizza. No boxes, no delivery bag, nothing. He wore a gray hoodie with the hood up, hands tucked deep in the pockets, his face half hidden in the porch light. After a weird pause, he gave a little smile and said, "Don't worry, the pizzas are still on the way." I frowned. What? He didn't explain, just stared at me, still smiling. Even through my tired haze, I knew something about that wasn't right. But I was too out of it to argue. I just muttered, "All right," and closed the door. I remember standing there in the hallway for a second, trying to piece together what had just happened. Who knocks on someone's door pretending to be a delivery guy, without any pizza, before the order even arrives? But after a moment, I shrugged it off, figuring I was imagining things. I sat back on the couch, put on another video, and, stupidly, fell asleep again. Then I heard it. A click. Faint, deliberate, It was what woke me up the second time. The video was still playing, so I couldn't have been out for long. I sat perfectly still, listening. Nothing. No doorbell. No knock. Just silence. I reached for my phone to check the time and froze. 4:03 a.m. What the hell? The pizza shop closes at 1. I opened the app again. The order had been delayed for an hour, then canceled by Rosati's. My stomach dropped. If the shop had canceled the order, then who was at my door earlier? I got up slowly, my ears straining for any sound. I walked down the hallway to the front door and checked the peephole. The porch was empty, just quiet suburban darkness under the streetlight. When I reached down to check the lock, my hand brushed the doorknob. It turned. The door was unlocked. I knew immediately what that meant. I must have forgotten to relock it after the man left, if he ever left at all. I opened the door just a crack and looked out. Nothing. Just my empty front yard and the faint hum of the highway in the distance. I started to close it again when it hit me. The soft click that had woken me up earlier. It was that exact sound. The sound of the door latching shut. He'd already been inside. Every hair on my body stood on end. I turned slowly, scanning the living room. It looked normal. Lights still dim, TV still playing. But now the shadows seemed darker, the silence heavier. I grabbed my phone from the coffee table, moving as quietly as I could. As soon as I picked it up, I heard it. Faint movement from the kitchen, like the sound of a shoe brushing against tile. That was all it took. I bolted. I ran straight out the front door, down the sidewalk, barefoot, my phone in my hand. I didn't stop until I hit the corner of Briarcliff Road, where I finally called 911. The cops showed up within minutes. Naperville PD. But whoever had been in the house was long gone. They found no forced entry, no damage, nothing missing. Just muddy footprints near the back door, and a half-open window in the laundry room. I told them everything, what the guy looked like, what he said, even the exact time on my phone. They searched the neighborhood for hours, but didn't find a trace. The officer told me later that there had been a few reports nearby that month, people claiming someone had come to their doors late at night, pretending to be delivery drivers or utility workers, then trying door handles after they left. They never caught the guy. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I replay that moment, me, half drunk and tired, opening the door and telling a complete stranger that I was expecting pizza. He hadn't needed to make up a lie. I'd done that for him. And when I think about that click, the sound of the door closing, I can't help but wonder if he'd already stepped inside before I woke up. I work at a 24-hour ice cream shop in Athens, Georgia. It's a tiny place, barely big enough for 10 customers to stand inside at once. The shop sits on the edge of town in a half-abandoned strip mall off Lexington Road, surrounded by cracked asphalt and flickering parking lot lights. During the day, it's a popular hangout spot for college kids and high schoolers, especially since UGA is right nearby. But after 10 p.m., the crowds vanish. The only people who come through after that are night owls, truckers, and the occasional drunk student looking for something sweet before heading home. I usually work the overnight shift, 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. It's quiet, boring work. Most nights are uneventful. That night started like any other. I clocked in, cleaned up the mess from the earlier shift, melted ice cream on the counters, trash bags that hadn't been taken out, and by 11:30, I was done. The next few hours were dead. Only one group of kids came in around 1 a.m. Around 1:30, I decided to take the trash out front. The dumpster sat a few stores down, near an old Family Dollar that had been closed for years. The air was cold, still. The streetlights hummed quietly. As I walked back toward the shop, I noticed a faint light flicker inside one of the abandoned buildings. At first, I thought it was just the reflection of a passing car, but when I looked out toward the road, it was completely empty. I slowed down, squinting at the windows. The light flickered again, quick, like someone waving a flashlight deep inside the building. It only lasted a second, but I saw the beam sweep across the back wall. That building was directly connected to ours. The two units shared a thin wall. A chill ran through me. I told myself it was probably just some kids messing around, maybe exploring the abandoned place for fun. It's not uncommon around here. I went back inside, locked the door, and tried to shake it off. By 2 a.m., I was leaning against the counter, staring out at the empty parking lot when I heard it. A soft thump against the wall beside me. Then again. The sound was dull, rhythmic, like someone moving boxes or dragging something on the other side of the wall. That same wall connected us to the building where I'd seen the light. My stomach tightened. I thought about calling the cops, but just as I reached for my phone, the bell above the door jingled. A single man walked in. He looked to be in his 40s, maybe older, with long, greasy hair, a scruffy beard, and a faded denim jacket that smelled like cigarettes and motor oil. His eyes were half open, like he hadn't slept in. After a few long seconds, he smiled faintly. Then he turned and walked out without saying a word. The doorbell jingled again, and he was gone. I stood there for a while, frozen, staring at the empty parking lot. Everything about him was off. That, plus the flashlight earlier, made the air in the shop feel heavier, like the quiet wasn't peaceful anymore, just watchful. Around 2:30, I decided to take my lunch break early, just to get out of the building for a bit. I grabbed my bag from the back, locked up, and sat in my car near the far end of the lot. The air was still, and my headlights caught tiny specks of dust floating through the cold. Two figures walked out from behind the strip mall. One of them was wearing the same denim jacket as the guy from earlier. The other held something. I couldn't tell what at first, but then a small beam of light cut through the dark. A flashlight. They made their way toward the shop. I froze, watching as they reached the door. The one with the flashlight cupped his hands around the glass, peering inside. Then they both stepped in. They didn't move like customers. They moved like men who knew what they were looking for. They jumped the counter, checking the storage room, then came back out after half a minute, frustrated, scanning the place. They were looking for me. I ducked low in my seat, grabbed my phone, and called 911. I whispered to the operator what I was seeing as the two men jogged out of the shop and disappeared around the back. When the police arrived about 5 minutes later, the men were long gone. One of the officers found a door behind the old Family Dollar that had been busted open. Pry marks around the lock and muddy footprints inside. They'd definitely been in there. I told the cops everything about the flickering light, the sounds through the wall, the man who came in earlier. They checked the security cameras, but the system had frozen hours before. No footage. The officer said it looked like whoever it was had been using the abandoned stores as a hiding spot. Maybe they were living in there. I'll never know. What I do know is that if I'd taken my lunch in the back room like I usually did, I probably wouldn't be here telling this story. Every time I drive past that strip mall now, the boarded up windows, the cracked sign that still says Frosty's Creamery, I remember the beam of that flashlight sweeping slowly across the glass. And I can't help but wonder if someone's still in there, waiting for another night shift worker to be alone again.